So what did we do? We used procsql. It starts with an procsql and ends with an quit. Select is used and keep statement as wait puts into the wait variable, and this will be created as a macro variable. From what it does, it is similar like set statement from sashelp.class, and you can also use where option. Same thing again, sashelp.class. Here I haven't used where. So which weight it selects from? Sashelp.class now. Because there are 19 observations. So which weight is selected? All the weights are selected now. If you go to log, only the first one is printed. Only the first one is printed. Under weight, all of them are selected, but when it comes to macro variable into weight, it selects only first value. If we go to SAS, you can see here the order of weights, right? So 112.50. So it already assigned 112.50. It won't take the other values. Previously, why it took
So
today's value? Because we have used where here.
yeah, but sir, if we want to put print all the weight, then what do we need to do?
You don't need all the weights anyways because you'll be selecting only particular value.
Like let's say if it for particular value the 2 or 3 weight is there.
I'll show you. Let us continue. There is an option for that. So now again, I'm taking sashelp.class. I'm taking only Judy. We can also do the same thing by using calls input, right? Which we learned in last class. So what is this one? What is the name of my macro variable? What is the name of my macro variable, Monica, here in this
Judy.
calls input statement?
Two.
What is it, Monica?
Jody underscore weight two.
Yeah, that's my macro variable. So now I can recall it here. Judy weight in the class is that value will be printed here. That's what we learned in last class. So it is 90 and it is aligned towards right side because we haven't there's one more option we learned in the last class, Tarak. No, Bosky.
Yes, sir. It's call 6x. You have to press X to reduce that.
Good,
There's,
Tarak.
yeah, call input X.
If you do calls input X, what will be done?
It will just
It will be trimmed towards left. What is the difference? Previously, you can see we have an extra space here.
space.
Now that's deleted. Same thing. I can also take height. For that, I am taking height variable. And now both weight and height gets printed. 90, 64.3 is the height. So this is how we create by calls input. Now if you want to do same thing by using procsql, what I need to do in select statement, I need to use two variable names, select, weight and height. So the first variable will be assigned to first value into GD under weight 2. So this is colon. So colon comma, this will be my first macro variable for weight value and this will be my second macro variable for height value. So what am I doing? I'm selecting two variables here and inputting two
Macro variable.
values. One is weight value, other is height value. I'm only taking Judy because I want only Judy's weight and Judy's height. Now if I check this, percent put weight is equal to Judy weight, height is equal to ampersand Judy height. So let's run this. So weight is 90, height is 64.3.
Okay.
Now I have class dataset. Let us open it. So now I want to select 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now I want to select 8, 9, 10, and 11. So if I do 8 to 11, will it do that? No. It takes from first. You have to use where function or some other options to say which observation you want to use. Let's say if I just run a select name into, these are my macro variables, standard 8, standard 11 from class. I'm saying select name, okay. I'm saying the variable name, but I'm not saying which observations need to be selected from that variable. I have totally 19 observations. I'm not saying select from this observation to this observation. So if I run this, what will be my result? My result will be Alfred, Alice, Barbara, and Carol, because it will select first four observations and prints the values into my std8, std11. If I see std8 is Alfred, std9 is Alice, std10 is Barbara, std11 is Carol, standard. So if I want to print values from 8 to 11, I want to assign these values to my std8, 9, 10, and 11. What can I use? Any one of you? Bosky, what can I use?
I don't know the answer.
Anjali, what can I use if I want to select observations from 8 to 11? We learnt in the options class. Stravia?
Hmm. It's a break option, something like
Break?
a break. No, sorry, something.
So
What's
we
that?
will use where clause and we will use the first observation is 8 and from there the four observation.
Yeah. First observation is 8, and what's next?
Next
Observation.
OBS is equal to 4.
Yes. First observation is
8.
8.
okay. What's
Eight.
next?
And then OBS is equal to 4.
You can either use this also, and OBS is equal to 11. It takes till 11.
8.
Okay, yeah.
OBS is equal to 4. It prints the fourth observation.
Oh, okay.
Who haven't answered this, you should practice, guys. Now if I do this, now Janet, Jeffrey, John, and Joyce, right? Just got printed. No need to use where class also. Directly you can for first OBS statements we won't be using where class. We'll be directly using first OBS and OBS, right? So we don't need to mention where class also. So what it prints here? It prints same results. Alice, Alfred, Barbara, and Carol. It prints the first four observations. Because same thing here also we haven't used any where class or any first OBS. So it will be printing first observations in the order of their increasing order. So now I want to select all names, and I want to pass it into a macro variable called all under names, and I want to separate each of them by
Ash.
asterisk, yeah, from saself.class. So let's run this. What are we expecting now? We are expecting all these names which are separated by asterisk. So all the names are printed and they are separated by asterisk. Now if I want to separate all of them by spaces, just select name into all under names to what is my macro variable name? All under names to which is separated by spaces, from which dataset I am selecting saself.class. See, previously it was separated by asterisk, now it was separated by space. You can use any other special character for separating, or I can use forward slash, and I want to select here only where sex is equal to male. I want to select all the names where sex is equal to male. I don't want to print everything. I want to. So what is the macro variable name I'm creating? Boys names. So I'm only printing boys names, and which is separated by forward slash. Alfred, Henry, James, Jeffrey, John, Philip, Robert. So I took only where sex is equal to male. So in procsql, you can use this put, and you can also use something like this if you want to include any compress statements, or if you want to concatenate. So what am I saying here? Select distinct. So it selects different ages. Like how many distinct ages do we have totally? How many distinct ages we have totally? 6, right? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. We have 6 different groups of ages, right? Now if you want to count those different groups of ages into age under vals separated by comma from saself.class. Just don't run this. So now if I want only this one. So what are the different age groups I have? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So and print them by
This is
separating by comma. So I'm saying select distinct age groups. I'm not counting them. I'm just selecting what are the different age groups present in my dataset, and I'm inputting into macro variable called
is
age undervals and separated by comma from which dataset saself.class. So what are the different age groups I have? These ones, and how am I separating them? By using comma. That's what we are expecting. Okay. Now in my second statement, what am I doing? Same thing. Select distinct gender into gender intervals separated by comma. So what is the result expected?
two.
What is the result expected?
The male and female. Sir.
Yeah, good, Tarak. So female and male, it, female and male. So if you want to count the total number of observations, if you want to count the total number of observations, then we use select count star into OBS. So it counts the total number of observations and it prints into log. If you just want to count the observations, select count of star into macro variable called OBS from saself.class. So what is it doing? It is counting the total number of observations. That's all. That's all, guys, with procsql.
Sir, I have a question. To put in the log, like those, do we need to convert always the numeric variable into character variable?
This one, you are talking about
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
No, I'm just showing it like that. It depends on the result you need. You need the numeric result or character result. That depends on what you need.
Yeah, if we have to make a sentence or something, then we only do, right? To put in
Because
character so
why
that
we
we
are
can
doing that is most of the times character results are expected. Why? Because let me show you one table. See, normally the procsql will be used to print the count here. If I have a numeric value here, so what will happen? And space will be created like this, right? If it is a numeric value. So I don't want this space when I am printing it. So most of the times you'll be converting it to
okay.
character, and when you are printing this in the title part, you'll be saying total n is equal to %, of whatever it is, whatever the macro variable name is. Let's say you are creating macro variable as %count. So when you do this in your program, count will be printed here directly.
Okay.
So if you are doing numeric, how will be your result? It will be like this, right?
This space.
It,
Yeah.
it,
Okay.
it is hard to see at that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's why to create some results like this, we'll be converting most of the times proc SQL into character value.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
So any questions, guys? I'll go through again. So what is proc SQL doing? It is doing same as calls input. You can use any way to create your macro variable. It can be either proc SQL, it can be calls input, or you can use %let. There are different ways of creating, depends on what is your requirement. If you want to create some counts, always procsql is preferable, because by using only procsql you can create counts, right? If you want to count number of observations or anything, you can use procsql. Or you can use calls input also for creating normal macro variables. You can use %macro, %min, %let. All these are different options to create an macro variables. You can also create multiple macro variables at a time by using procsql. So now we will be learning how to use different macro functions. You can also apply all the functions in all the you can also apply all the functions while creating macro variables.
Sir, one more question. Like for these macro, these are global and these are last until your SAS session is on, right? And after that, it will be lost.
Yes.
So do we have any other way to create these macro permanently?
No, because you don't want any of them for different studies, right? So what you'll be doing is once you run your auto execution macro, this all will be, you don't need to run all of them again. It will be calling all your macros and macro paths. You'll be creating one path for, I'll show you after completing bases how to call these all macro variables or permanent macro variables.
Okay.
Now I have name is equal to Vikas and Kumar and person put name. You know what will be the result, right? So now if I want to use substr for this, I want to select only first name or last name. So what will be my first name? You can select either first name. If you want to use substr option, you can't use substr directly because you're calling it as a macro variable. So you need to use percent substr. Same for scan. What substr done here does here 7 comma
Here
5.
it does the last name, not first name.
Yeah, it does the last name. Yeah. Where does it select from?
K.
Where does it select from? K. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is my space and it selects the last name. Same thing. Here also, same thing. It selects the second word. It does the same thing. Minus 2, it selects the first word. Name under case. It converts lowercase into uppercase. All this will be converted into uppercase. If you go to log, see here last name is printed. Here also last name is printed. Here everything is converted into uppercase.
Okay. Yeah.
So for the functions, you have to include percent when you are including it in percent let or any macro variables. Same thing here. What I'm doing, I'm giving some options and I'm calling it as a single statement. Now all of them get printed. So when I use percent values, all the results will be printed. What is integer sum? Integer sum is nothing but ampersand int val. So the result of percent eval ampersand a ampersand will be printed. Here it's 30. So what is the result of my int val? It will be printed. And what is the result of my f val? It will be printed. So here what am I doing? I'm counting the total number of observation and I'm selecting the maximum height into max height variable. So it selects the height variable and it prints the maximum height present in the sasshelp.class dataset. If percent eval of ampersand obs greater than 0, then percent put some observations. You don't need this. Yeah, we'll learn this. So if you want to mask any special characters, what do we use ampersand for normally in the macro variables? To call the macro variable, right? Ampersand is used to call the macro variable. Now let's say I want to mask this one. I want to mask ampersand. What do we use ampersand for? Ampersand is used to call macro variables. Now if I want to mask this ampersand, what is the function that is used? So what is my result here? What will be my result expected? Ramco is my result expected. Name of the company is Ramco. Here ampersand is not seen. I need to use percent. See, if I haven't used percent %nrstr, what will be my result? Let me copy it into a new window and explain it to you. So if I haven't used my nrstr, and if I do this, what is my result expected? There will be an warning in the log, apparent symbolic reference, not resolved. Why is it not resolved? Because we haven't created any macro variable named ampersand core, right?
Yeah.
So now I don't want any macro variables to be printed. Actually, what I'm expecting is I want my result as ampersand core. That's my value itself looks as ampersand core. So now if you want to mask this ampersand and if you want to print your result, so I want this value to be printed as it is. I'm not referring this ampersand core to any macro variable. I just want to print as it is in my log window. Why is this proper order? So if I use option called %nrstr, see now my result is printed as ampersand co, right? Name of the company Ram and Co. So if you want to print ampersand symbol as it is, if you want to mask that symbol, that means you are not calling any macro variable name ampersand co. You want to print that value as ampersand co. So what is the function that I have used? %nrstr. So similarly, there is one more function called %str. What it does, if there are any special characters, now let's say if I don't use this %str, if I don't use %str and let's run this. So percent put Satyaman computers, right? Now if I want to mask any of these special characters and if I use %str, what will be my result? See, previously what was printed, the brackets, even these brackets will be masked by using %str. If I take this str out and if I run this, normally it should print an error. See, the meaning of an identifier after quoted string change in future says, and here also you can see statement is not valid or not used in proper order. When we didn't use %str, we got an error. But when we use %str, we don't get that error. When we use %str, we don't get an error. So what is %str used? %str is used to mask special characters like commas or brackets, and %nrstr is used to mask ampersand symbols. Same thing, %str here also masks the comma and all these special characters. So it masks the special characters log of 12 and it prints the log of 12. What's the difference between NSTR and NRSTR? NRSTR masks macro parameters like ampersand or these things, and STR masks the special characters.
Special character.
First of all, what are arrays and why are they used for? Let's say I have 1000 variables or 500 variables. I want to rename all the variable names at a time. Or let's say I have multiple variables like this and they have missing values. I have variables like this, or variable A, variable B, variable C, D, E, F, so on. Okay. And I have missing values at some places. So wherever I have missing values, I want to convert them into zeros. I want to convert them into zeros. What do we do programmatically if you want to convert all the missing values into zeros? What do we do
If
programmatically?
if
Yeah,
if then
go ahead. Say me, how do we use that? How do we use if statements? We have to write multiple statements, right? How do we apply those statements? Any one of you?
Yeah, if whatever variable name is equal to dot, then variable is equal to 0.
Then A is equal to 0.
zero.
If B is
Yeah,
equal to missing, then
then
B
b
is
is
equal
equal
to
to 0
0. So we have to apply multiple statements like this, right? So how many variables do we have here? Six
6.
variables. So we
Yeah,
have to apply the same statement
for
six
6 times.
times. So, but by using arrays, you can simplify this. So let's take this data set. Let's take this core data set, and we are creating variables called name, ID, section, and subjects: math, science, social, and computers. Four of these are numeric variables, others are character variables. So if you run this data set, our data set is not. variables where there are missing values into 0. I want to convert at each place as 0 wherever I have missing values. So how do I apply this for multiple variables and for multiple observations at the same time? So let us run this data set called score. So these are my numeric variables. I have missing values at certain places. I don't want to see those missing values as missing. I want to make it as 0. So normally in a data step, what do we do? If maths is equal to missing, this is how we apply for data step, right? We apply in a multiple statement. So we have to mention each and every variable. Score to. So those variables has been changed. Math, science and social. The missing values has been changed to 0. Now if I want to do same thing using arrays, how do we do? So forgot about this. So I'm taking my data set dash score. So I'm taking this data set and my function is called array. How many variables I want to convert? 3 variables. What are those 3 variables I want to convert? Math, science and social. So for that array, I'm giving a name for that array. So every time whenever you are creating an array, you should give a name for that array. So what am I saying? I'm saying my new array name as exam and take 3 variables. What are these variables? Math, science and social. So then we need to apply do loop. Do I is equal to 1, 2, 3. So what is 1, 2, 3 from maths to social? So from my first variable maths to third variable social. If this is my array name, right? So this array includes now what 1, 2, 3. So if my array is missing from 1 to 3, then make it as 0. If exam, what exam includes now all these 3 variables. If exam of I includes these 3 variables, if exam of I is equal to missing, then exam of I is equal to 0 and run. So I'm only doing for 3 variables. You can also do it from 1 to 4 and you can also include computers. So what is this I doing? This I is calculating my total number of observations. But here I am taking only 3 observations instead of total 4 observations. Totally I have 4 numeric observations, but I'm only converting 3 of them. So there is other simpler way of doing this. Instead of mentioning these numeric variables, you can also say underscore numeric underscore. So this applies to all of my numeric variables. So total how many numeric variables I have? 4 variables. So if you do underscore numeric underscore, it applies to all of my numeric variables. So what happens now? Select star. So what does star do? It selects all the variables which are numeric. Okay.
Sir, earlier, why were you seeing that I is equal to 4?
Because do loop runs for all the numeric variables. But we are
But it was
applying it counts when you are doing do, it counts the total number of variables, but we are applying only for 3 variables. That's why I'm dropping it at the end. We don't need that variable.
okay, but still it was showing in the result, right?
Yeah, but
I
yeah, now I dropped it. If you run
oh,
it again and I won't see that.
okay. But it was showing number 4. 4. Why it was showing 4 times? The
Defaultly,
iteration should go.
it calculates for all the numeric variables.
Hmm. Even though we are doing the do for 1, 2, 3, still it does for 4.
No, but it is not applying logic for 4 variables. It is applying logic only for 3 variables. If you see here, I still have missing values.
Hmm. So where does this I come? Okay, okay.
Because of do
Okay,
loop, it creates that.
okay, yeah, okay.
So now I am selecting all the numeric variables. So what am I saying? Select all my numeric variables. Previously we selected only 3, so that's why we said 1, 2, 3. But here I am saying do I is equal to 1 to dim of exam. So it returns to the length of the array. So what is the length of the array? Length of the array is 4, right? So dim returns to 4 because total number of numeric variables are 4. According to I, total number of this dim returns to the length of the array. What is my length of array? 4 because there are 4 numeric variables. So if exam of I is equal to missing, exam of I is equal to 0. So this applies to all of my numeric variables. Now if we see my section score for all of my 4 variables are converted into, wherever I have missing values, they are converted into zeros.
Yes.
You don't need to, this is more simpler because previously we need to give the name of the variables. Now we don't need to do that also. Here we have only 4 variables. Let's say we have 100 variables. It's hard in mentioning all the variable names, right? So for that you can use underscore numeric underscore, which is easier. So it converts all the variables where we have missing values into 0. Now I'm taking one more dataset called score again. Let us close all this. So here I have missing values for numeric variables. I also have missing values for my character variables. Now if I want to convert missing values of numeric values as 0 and missing values of my character variables as null, I want to give a value called null here. So what can I do here? Same thing, array of exam under numeric. For character, what do we do? Do we have anything like underscore numeric underscore for character variables?
Yes, we do have
Yes,
character.
underscore character underscore.
Yeah, same thing, underscore character underscore. So I'm creating my first array name as exam and am I selecting underscore character
Underscore
underscore all
character.
variables. Okay. And in exam 2 array, I'm selecting all numeric variables.
Numeric.
Do I is equal to dim of exam. So what it does, it selects all the character variables and if my character variable is missing, then convert it into null. Do j is equal to 1 to dim of exam 2. If j is equal to missing, then convert it as 0. Or let's run this. Okay, no warnings and no errors. What is my output data set? Score 4. See, here I have null. Wherever I have missing in character variables, it is converted into null. And wherever I have numeric missings, the values has been converted
Zero.
into
Zero.
0. Similarly, you can also convert all the numeric variables into character variables at a time by using these arrays. if you want to convert all the numeric variables into character variables, you can also do that. So your assignment will be, I want you guys to convert these five numeric variables into character variables by using arrays. And if it is missing, I want to include still 0, which is my character value. So what I wanted you guys to do is, I want you guys to convert all these numeric variables into character variables, and I want
Yeah.
their names to be again same, but I want to apply an array for this. Did you understand, guys, what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.